Antioxidants is really the overall kind of umbrella of what we are going to be talking about today. And we're also going to be talking about inflammation, this number one causation of disease and aging, and basically your body falling apart and developing different forms of disease. Really, the foundation of that has to do with inflammation. And a thing that really accelerates that, the number one physiological thing that accelerates that, is oxidation and excess oxidative stress. We'll get into exactly what that is in the show. We'll dive deep. And we are also going to be talking about a very unique and special super antioxidant. But first, let me tell you about my guest expert, and then I'll lead into what is that super antioxidant, and then we'll get started with today's show. So my guest expert today with me on the Full Body Fix Coaching Show is Ken Swartz. Ken Swartz, by trade, is a biogeochemist. He is a scientist in every way that you can possibly describe scientist. He's a brilliant man. He and I have had amazing discussions in private. And he shared some really, really interesting things with me. So interesting that I said, you know what, Ken, I'd like to have you on the show. I'd love to have you talk about antioxidants and share with our audience. And something that he's developed is so awesome. I even think it would make sense for you to offer it to our audience because this is something that people need to know about. So Ken has run several research science laboratories over the course of his career. And he's discovered this product called C60. It's actually an antioxidant while developing the MOXIE fusion reactor. And we'll get into more kind of what this project was and that he was working on, but it's so interesting. During his research, he became aware of this super powerful free radical neutralizing properties of C60. And he first began using C60 as a radiation protectant while leading a fusion reactor project. I'm sure you all you remember that nuclear power plant meltdown in Japan, Fukushima, and it was a terrible accident. And Ken was working on the alternative fusion energy project, again, called the MOXIE fusion reactor. And any scientist who had attempted to do this work that Ken was doing in the past had died of radiation exposure. Yes, they actually died of radiation exposure. And Ken needed to protect himself and his team from radiation in order to do this work and solve the complex problem he was attempting to solve. So he started experimenting with this super antioxidant called C60 to protect himself from radiation. And about 8 months after, I'll have Ken correct me if he comes on the show, when he comes on with us, but no scientist died after they started using this product. And after a routine visit with his optometrist, he discovered that his dry macular degeneration was gone. Yeah, pretty profound stuff, which is why I have him on the show today. And the doctor was dumbfounded and told him that in all his years, he had never seen such a miraculous outcome. So due to this healing experience, he decided to dedicate himself to this research and study and production of a very difficult to produce super antioxidant called C60, or the technical term is Buckminster fullerene. And then in 2016, he founded C60, started producing and developing this product. And so first, we're going to tell you all about antioxidants today. Then we're going to get into this specific antioxidant. And then for our VIPs, you're going to get a super special offer as a VIP. All audience members will get a very special offer, but VIPs will actually get a free gift. So the first 20 VIPs to take advantage of the offer at the end, literally a free gift. You actually don't have to buy anything up front. There'll actually be a free gift for VIPs in this session. So without further ado, Ken believes your health and is your responsibility. And he is on a mission to help people just like you feel empowered to take back control of their health. So without further ado, please help me welcome my very special guest, scientist Ken Swartz. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, no, just glad to be on and to see your audience here, since I can see them in the on the upper level there.
So Ken, first, tell us a little bit. Are we getting ahead if we jump and talk about the Fukushima project?
No, we can talk about that, because that's kind of how it all started. for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, because every one of us, we all knew about Fukushima and how bad it was. And I'd been working, I was in the right place at the right time with the right people. And we had a thing, we call it the metal oxygen fusion. It's actually easier. I don't know if people know about fusion, but usually they just do like tritium with isotopes of hydrogen. Well, there's some Japanese guys years and years ago, decades ago, found how to do oxygen with metals. And so that's our MOXIE, metal oxygen, MOXIE. And so we had done, but when I was doing the research about this thing, pretty much everybody who'd done similar research on that, even if they didn't know they were doing it, had, the late doctor this and the late doctor that. And so I didn't want to become another late scientist, or neither my crew. So I went out looking for, this is new research, right? You don't really know what's going on. And we were uncertain what the cause was of all these scientists dying. So I went out and I researched something to protect my crew and myself. And I came up with stuff called carbon-60. It's C60 for short. And they did a study where they had a couple studies where they gave the rats, like one set of rats got the C60. The other set, control rats, didn't get anything. And they hit them with a fatal dose of radiation, or multiple fatal doses of radiation. And pretty much all the C60 rats lived, where all the control rats immediately died. So when I learned about that, I said, well, that's the stuff for me. So I got a couple of sources for myself and my crew. And we took it during the experimentation, which came out successfully, and we're all still around. And but what really kind of struck me is I kept using it even after the experimentation was over, because, like, for instance, I had more energy, my mind was a little bit clearer. And because this is about 10 years ago we were doing this. And also I just kept kind of taking it. I wasn't totally faithful to it, but what happened was about 8 months later, I went into my eye doctor, my optometrist, and my DRUs, or dry macular degeneration, had completely disappeared. And he'd never seen that before happen. And then also, so that was really important, because with macular degeneration, you could go blind. And I'd been really worried about going blind. In fact, by that time, my electrical engineer on the job, Gary Rodriguez, he had developed severe wet macular degeneration. We used to have post up until they made us take it down, his before and after pictures, but he had kind of all kinds of horrible lesions on the inside of his eyeball. And after taking preparation of C60 and MCT coconut oil for a year, his wet macular degeneration completely disappeared, and along with his type 2 diabetes. So, because it's just, if I just had something, it's just a fluke, right? Maybe it just happened by accident. But when you got two people, that their macular degeneration goes away, especially one who had severe wet macular degeneration. And we've had lots of other people have similar results too. So, and I do have to report, this is anecdotal statements. This is, and anyway, these are not approved by the FDA, organization. So just to let people know, this is anecdotal stuff that people and customers had. And that's not the only amazing things that have happened, but that's something I have personal experience with. And what I had is once I learned that, because I didn't want to go blind, and obviously my friend Gary didn't want to go blind, so I learned how to make C60 preparations on my own, and started putting it in different types of oils for my friends, family, and myself. And then I started sharing it with my local healthcare practitioners, and they had good results. And then they gave it to their customers, and their customers or the patients had good results. And then one thing led to the other, and I was like a C60 milkman driving around the front range of Colorado, dropping off C60 products. And then one day I also had some internet influencers I gave it to, and one day, one of them mentioned how it saved his and his wife's life, and sales went through the roof. And that's kind of how C60 Purple Power started. It I wasn't intending to make a company, but it just kind of happened.
Well, that's the best way, is you have something amazing that really works for people, and then people want it, and you provide a public service. So that's awesome.
Right.
So Ken, let's you have a presentation, right, that you want to share?
Oh, yeah, I have some screen share. I can just talk. Let me go up there, and can we see it?
We can, perfectly.
Excellent. So so this is kind of what's why we need antioxidants, especially as you age. That's kind of the key to it, and we'll talk more on that. But I think one of the things is, what is an antioxidant? And a lot of people Okay, let me do the first thing. Sorry, here I have to do this. So the following statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individual results may vary. That's something we have to give in this world. And so I guess I kind of start about what is an antioxidant, and then we'll probably get into inflammation and oxidative radicals. And pretty much an antioxidant is something that prevents something from oxidation. And we're all familiar with oxidation like rust, right? So that's when your iron oxidizes. And so for the human body, there's things like vitamin C, vitamin E, NAC, some others, hydrogen gas, that prevents oxidative damage from happening in the body. Of course, we breathe oxygen, and that's one of our secrets of why we're so efficient. But that and a lot of products in our metabolism that are made while we make all the energy we need for a body causes oxidation, and these antioxidants kind of stop that. And so that's just a little definition there. Okay, and basically when your body doesn't have antioxidant needs to neutralize free radicals, your body rusts, and that's kind of bad. And when we think about, we obviously see if what iron rusts, but what happens when your body's rusting? Well, it's like, for instance, if you have oxidative radicals, they can punch holes in your cell walls, so things leak out that shouldn't, or things leak in that shouldn't, and that is really damaging, especially calcium ions. And so that's another one. And also, and remember, we have little mitochondria in our DNA. I mean, inside of our cells, they're like little organelles. They make ATP, the main energy molecule for the cell, and they produce a lot of basically they're little power plants. So they produce oxidative radicals. About 65% of all the oxidative radicals your cells are going to face come from your mitochondria. And so having enough, and the body makes antioxidants to take care of those oxidative radicals. But if you don't have enough of them, then damage does. And other damage that occurs inside the cells is proteins get cross-linked. I don't know if people, proteins kind of have to fold like origami to do their magic, for the metabolism of your cell. And if they get cross-linked, that means they can't fold right and they can't do their job. And obviously that's bad. And of course, there's your DNA and your RNA, which is the blueprints for your cell. And if you get those damaged, then you can't really rebuild because you don't have your blueprints anymore. So, and then a little bit more antioxidants, your body's defense against oxidative stress. But unfortunately, especially the gray-haired crowd, which I see we have a few, here is, as you get older, the natural antioxidants your body produces to protect against oxidative radicals go down. And so you start getting more oxidative damage. In fact, that's the reason for gray or white hair is specifically in that case, the oxidative radical of hydrogen peroxide kind of just bleaches your hair out before it comes out of your follicle. So that's kind of a sign that you need more antioxidants. So, and what's just some of the factors of aging, and that is oxidative stress or free radical damage. And what is an oxidant? What are these things that are causing the oxidative damage in your body? And they're basically just like there's a whole bunch of different ones, but basically they have electrons like to hang out with each other and fill their electron shells. And if you have a molecule, a free radical that doesn't have like a full shell, it's not a happy molecule, it will go out and rip off electrons or rip off protons or other atoms from like another molecule, in which then that molecule doesn't have enough, which then it goes and rips off atoms, electrons or something from another molecule, and you get this whole cascade of damage through your body. So you want to, if you get oxidative radicals like there's superoxide, that's an oxygen with an extra electron, so you can imagine that's super oxidative. There's a hydroxyl radical, that's like a proton missing a proton. So it's pretty bad. So so basically that's just what causes it. So questions or anything? Robbie?
Yes. Hey, yeah, Kent. So let's talk about this a little more. I just want to make sure, because some of, we have varying levels of knowledge, like in our audience. Some people are actually health experts. We have VIPs and such who are like high level health experts, and others who are not. They're experts in other things. So let's just really make sure everyone understands like what is this oxidative stress and this free radical, because it's a pretty like out there term. So you're saying, oxidation is caused by an oxygen molecule that has an unpaired electron, which is basically like it's almost like a irrational, damaging human that starts causing problems with everyone else in their community, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
so
And yeah,
and
and
so
then
they
that's
have
what,
a bad character, and they start going and affecting someone else, and they kind of make them have a bad day, and they start basically causing degeneration and decreased health in the in cellular environment, which
yes.
which is actually also right. It's also a good thing. Like when we exercise, we increase oxidation, and this is really good. This is one of the major stimulus factors, especially for aerobic upregulation or aerobic improvement in your body's capabilities. So it is really important to have some oxidation, because it actually is a stimulus factor to get increased fitness results. But the problem is right, which I know you're going to get a lot deeper into, is really when we have excess, just like inflammation. Some inflammation, you want inflammation. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on how much. If you injure yourself, you want there to be some inflammation. It's part of the cleanup, tear down process, but then you don't want it to go excess. So I think it's really important for everyone to understand oxidation can be good under control. Inflammation can be good under control. Those are degenerative stimulus in your body, and then you come back with regenerative stimulus. The problem is when it gets out of hand. When we age, it gets out of hand really easy. We're super susceptible. Our body produces different protein signaling pathways to increase inflammation. We're more exposed to oxidation. A lot of our individuals may not have been as fit before, and now they're starting to increase their fitness. You can more easily get excess oxidative stress. So I think, like in all things, a little bit is great actually, but the excess is where we really have to concern. Correct, Ken?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, there's like a balance that has to be there. They call it the redox balance, where you have oxidative species and antioxidants, and you kind of have a balance there. And a lot of the oxidative species the body uses as oxidative as signaling molecules, like nitrogen oxides. That's an oxidative species, but that's what allows your body to contract or dilate your capillaries, which are really important for good health, for blood pressure, and for guys. Obviously, if you don't have the proper nitrogen oxide, you're not going to be very good in bed. And so those are things too. There's also hydrogen peroxide as a signaling molecule that your body uses, and you don't want to like overly wash that out, because then you have problems there. And then there's a bunch based around sulfur, iron, and zinc that your body uses as signaling molecules. And that's one of the problems people could have. If you take too many, quote, antioxidants, you can interfere with the signaling molecules in your body. And then you're actually causing more damage to your body than you are healing it. And that could be a big problem.
So we have a couple of questions from the audience that I think is good before we even move forward. Like Steve asked a really good question. He wasn't clear on the relationship with mitochondria and what you're speaking of before. And really quick, before you answer that, just for everyone to know, mitochondria is your powerhouse of all your cells. So the way that your cells produce energy is within the mitochondria. That is the powerhouse of the cell to produce energy with oxygen. Okay, so that is the thing, the organelle, as they call it, which is like, just think of that as like a structure inside all of your cells, minus red blood cells. All of your cells in your body, minus red blood cells, have mitochondria. And that is where the energy is actually produced using oxygen, using glucose, fatty acid, and all kinds of other. It's a very complex process that the mitochondria goes through, but that is what the mitochondria is. So Ken, if you can re-illustrate for us
yeah,
the relationship.
Mitochondria are like they actually have their own DNA, and so they're self-regulating little organelles, and they basically make all the ATP. It's like 95% of the energy that your cells use comes from mitochondria. I mean, actually, if you did the processing, your body does like 50 pounds of mitochondria of ATP processing a day. So that's super important. And that's what keeps you alive, basically, the ATP. And so the mitochondria produce that. And the mitochondria, the larger cell produces antioxidants that take care of, like one of the number one oxidative species that the mitochondria makes that's bad for you is like superoxide. That's the most damaging oxidative radical, and a little bit of the hydroxyl things. And when you're young, we don't have a problem. As you get older, those go down. But those mitochondria are just key. And like, a regular cell can have dozens of them, or some things like your nerve cells have literally hundreds of mitochondria in them. And each one is an energy powerhouse, producing energy. So different cells like nerve cells and muscle cells, cells of the endocrine system, they're really high in mitochondria. And so having healthy mitochondria is really important. And that's actually, there's one of the things that we'll probably talk about later is mitochondrial dysfunction. It's actually one of the key things in degenerative diseases. And that usually happens as we get older. And the mitochondria just don't make ATP. They make things like pregnenolone, which is the precursor molecule for all the hormones. And they also make a bunch of precursor molecules for DNA and RNA synthesis. So they're not just a powerhouse building ATP, an energy molecule. They're like, they make a lot of the building blocks that your cells need to function.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, I think it's really, since we're talking about, I don't want to get too off the track, but it's just interesting since basically all of our audience is also fitness and actual exercise action-based individuals. So another scientist friend of mine who's an extremely elite exercise physiologist shared with me how basically they've seen in a laboratory how strength training is really good at increasing, and I don't want to get too technical with everyone, but basically improving your cellular structure and strength and stability, which scientists call myonuclear domain. Okay. And then with aerobic type of exercise or conditioning, any moderate type of exercise and physical activity, this stimulus really improves genetic turnover and cellular turnover and rejuvenation and multiplication and increasing mitochondria in your body and cellular health and genetic replication. So they actually have two different types of effects from the type of exercise that you're doing. So just kind of interesting side note. Ken, we have some other really good questions in the chat, but I know that like Carrie, great question, Carrie. Can one antioxidant take care of all free radicals? But I know that Ken is going to get to that, correct, Ken, in the next portion.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so should we wait? Because you're going to cover.
Yeah, let's wait a little bit and I'll remember those and hopefully we can get to them. And I'll just run a few more down here. And then, if you look about free radical oxidative stress, like I got some here, things that happen in the brain, the heart, the kidneys, pretty much. And a lot of this stuff, as we get together, this is actually chronic inflammatory diseases, which is oxidative radicals cause chronic inflammatory disease. And that's part of it is the way that oxidative radicals interact with our basically our immune system, the white blood cells, and you get a lot of autoimmune systems. And also you may notice, most of these things happen as we get older, like, a lot of Alzheimer's and, heart disease and kidney disease and various other things. These are degenerative diseases associated with aging. And
so Ken, there's one other question before you go forward with the presentation that I thought is on point of where we're at, and maybe not jumping ahead. Correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you find out if you have too many oxidative free radicals? Like, how is there a way to measure that, or how would you look at that?
Yes, there is. There's actually a test. It's an aldehyde test. And aldehydes are something, they're basically when fatty acids, carboxylic acids break down, and that's the stuff in your membranes of your cells. And then when they break down, they produce what is called aldehydes. And you can actually go online and get aldehyde tests, and they actually use urine tests basically. And you can they've got that little cup, and they put a couple drops of an indicator material in there, and it'll turn a certain color, and then you just look at the color to the chart, and it'll tell you what your oxidative stress level is. And you can take that all the time, right? And so it's a common test that you can buy online and have it at any time and test your oxidative stress levels.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's carry on. Go ahead, my
Yeah,
friend.
so you can see all the different things that can happen here. Arteriosclerosis, that's another. We could talk about all these different, but all of these things are basically just your body rusting You're getting oxidative damage, and then the immune response, when you have an incorrect immune response, can even accelerate the problem, like rheumatoid arthritis. And here it is. We go. Oxidative stress is the leading cause of inflammation. Inflammation is the underlying cause of most disease. And I think probably we want to, some of the things that happen here, that you could have, like depression. People don't think about depression as an autoimmune disease, but it really is. And I want to talk about, I'm going to start a little early here, but we talk about inflammation because we're already getting there. And, what is inflammation? What causes it? And the key thing is basically oxidative. If you have too much oxidative radicals somewhere and you don't have the antioxidants to deal with that, they start doing damage. And especially like the cells lining your arterial cells lining your arteries and such, or your capillaries. And basically when cells get damaged, they send out emergency signals saying, help, help. And those are called cytokines. And then those cytokines will attract things like macrophages. There's different types of macrophages. The macrophage A is the type, it's like the emergency, vehicle stuff. And they'll go to the site of the damage, and then they'll start putting out more cytokines. And then they'll bring in more immune cells like the neutrophils and such. And so then you get inflammation. And that all starts with oxidative radicals doing stuff. So if you can get rid of the oxidative radicals or reduce them before they cause that, that whole inflammatory response, then you don't get the damage. Like for instance, one of the things is, we all know about inflammation. But there's two types. There's acute and there's chronic. And acute is like when you sprain your ankle, or let's say you cut your hand and get an infection. That's your body naturally has, that's a damage to your body. And things happen. You notice you get the swelling, you get the heat, you get the redness, and that's all part of your body's natural process of fighting either repairing damage or fighting infection. And like for instance, part of that too is like you think, how does inflammation cause depression? Well, when you're chronically inflamed or even acutely inflamed, your body actually reduces dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter, and that's kind of the motivation molecule. That's what gets you up out of bed in the morning is dopamine, and makes you go want to do stuff. Well, if you have, let's say, acute inflammation, your body doesn't want you to get up and walk on that sprained ankle, right? It wants you just to lie around until it heals, and then you can get up and do stuff. And so that's just a natural part of how the body protects itself. But the problem is when you have chronic inflammation, which is caused by an autoimmune system or just getting older and not having enough antioxidants, then you also get that dopamine suppression, and you get like that thing where you just don't want to do anything. You just want to lie around on the bed or in the couch and just don't feel like having any motivation to do anything. And that's often a cause by inflammation that you may not even know you have. And a lot of these other things like anxiety, brain fog, you got skin and gut issues. Obviously, the inflamed, especially a lot of our diet has so many toxins in it. Inflammatory gut disease is just chronic now with so many people. And all of these other side things get out there that, fatigue, your vision loss, memory loss, all the different things. It's just not making your body work very good. And this is the same thing here. Chronic inflammation also produces, because one of the things they use is, the neutrophils and other things that go into fight things. They actually use oxidative radicals like superoxide, like little machine gun bullets to wipe out bacteria and clean things up, which is great. But unfortunately, when you've got like autoimmune disease or chronic inflammation, those neutrophils are shooting out those superoxides, and they're actually damaging your own cells, and which then causes more inflammation, which then causes. So it's kind of like a feedback cycle, a positive feedback cycle, but it's just causing bad things to happen to your body. And actually, this is one of the things that is chronic inflammatory disease is the most significant cause of death in the world today. And part of that happens to be is actually the success of medical science. Because the number one death people used to be would be infectious disease and other things that would happen to us. But with modern science, we've really defeated infectious disease and a lot of other problems like broken bones and other things that used to kill people in the past. And so we're living much longer than we used to. And because we live longer and our oxidative burden, our antioxidants go down, now we have these inflammatory diseases, which are usually associated with aging. So it's actually kind of a problem caused by medical success. And if you think about it, some of the things that happen, is that you can get, these are all the diseases you can have with chronic inflammation, which is usually associated with aging. And, you got heart disease, you're getting stroke. Stroke, usually you get inflammation in your arteries, your capillaries, and then that causes blood clots. And obviously you have a problem there. Arteriosclerosis, that's actually because you can't process your cholesterol properly. It kind of hangs out in your arteries too long, oxidizes, causes that. And we see all this type 2 diabetes, all the autoimmune disease, cancers, it's kind of the leading causes of death now. Alzheimer's, arthritis, it's just all of these things kind of comes together. And all of these are usually associated with aging. And it's because the natural antioxidants our body produces have just gone down, and they can't take care of the oxidative burden that we're under. And also, I'm sure, you've probably on other shows of this type, you've probably heard all about the environmental toxins we're faced with today too. You've got the glyphosates in your foods. You've got, there's 40,000 industrial chemicals out there that have never really been tested for toxicity. And there's those the PUFAs, which are the seed oils, which are rather inflammatory. So it's just this really heavy oxidative burden that we have now that we really aren't dealing with as a, that's difficult to deal with, I guess you say, that didn't even exist in the past. So any questions, more questions out there that I could answer? I can't really see the chat from where I'm at, so I'll have to rely on somebody else.
So we have, let's see, Ken. So I'll tell you the questions. You tell me if it's a little premature, because I know there's certain things you're going to cover in your presentation. So, so follow-up question, I think they would like to know where to buy that test, the aldehyde test.
I don't have really one
just Google
that I have a special one, but basically if you go on the internet and look for aldehyde test, stress test, oxidative stress test, aldehyde test, there's a variety of them. Some of them that just give you the test that only do like 1 or 2 times. Some of them you can get that'll give you like a little bottle. Basically, it's you pee in a little tiny cup, and then you put a couple drops in, it'll turn color. And so you probably want the one they have. There's a bunch out there that actually do that.
So you would just Google aldehyde test.
Yeah, aldehyde test, stress test, oxidative stress test, aldehyde test. Put it all together, and you'll get them out there. And you want one that you can do by yourself at your home with a bottle, so you can do like dozens and dozens of them. Some of them just give you 1 or 2 tests, which you can do, and so you have to order more. But if you get the one that you do lots and lots of, it's kind of more cost efficient over time.
And then let's see here.
Yeah, we could probably research something and put it in the show notes or post something like that later.
Yeah, Patricia, if you could look up aldehyde test, if that's.
Yeah. But it is kind of convenient because let's say if you've done a lot of stress after exercise, you could do it and you can see the levels, or you can also test antioxidants that you take, right? Take an antioxidant, then you test your stress levels. And if it goes down, then you know that thing's working for you.
So Carrie wants to know, is this the same test that you take for nitric oxide in your body?
No, nitric oxide is a different test. And it's nitrous oxide, it'll be measuring the nitrous oxide levels, whereas aldehydes are actually a breakdown product from damage to your body. So it's a different test entirely.
So Jeff Kennedy, I know you're looking up and you looked at Let's Get Checked. So if you can look and see maybe if you find that. And then let's see, Randa, it says, can you talk about comparison? And I think this is something that is coming up, but can you talk about comparison with glutathione R, and can you combine?
Yeah, I'll definitely talk about those. We're gonna get to talk about, because there's certain antioxidants that your body produces naturally, and you can't supplement for them. And then there's some you can supplement for them, and that's why we're going to get to that thing. So let's talk about that. How do we fight free radicals, right? And well, we can neutralize them, and that's what the goal is. That's what antioxidants do. Antioxidants basically combine with an oxidative radical and neutralize it, so it can't cause any damage. And that's kind of the key of antioxidants. And then there's some, like naturals, like the luteins that you get out of, your fruits and vegetables, the colorful vegetable stuff. A lot of times they'll bind up with an oxidative radical, and then they have to be eliminated from the body, the complex that comes from. Other things like glutathione or CoQ10 or some other antioxidants the body makes, when they oxidize when they combine with an oxidative radical, it changes their structure, and then the body has to use an enzyme and some ATP to reset that glutathione or that CoQ10 or that SOD or that catalase, and then they can be used again. So that's another way that we do it. And so, of course, that's all what antioxidants do. And okay, this is the thing that people need to think about is I'm already getting enough antioxidants from my food. There are some antioxidants your body has that you can't get from food, and that is true. And there's basically, I guess it's time for that question, answer that question. Especially in the mitochondria and the cells, there's the four really super important antioxidants that your cells make. One is SOD, that's superoxide dismutase and catalase, and they work together to take care of superoxide. And those your body can only make, and there's no way to supplement for them. Then there's glutathione. Glutathione, you can supplement with glutathione a little bit. They have the liposomal glutathione now that can actually make it past your digestive system. And so it can be absorbed, but they still have a little problem getting that glutathione to all the cells that need it. And so that's a little bit of difficulty, or you can take, a lot of people take precursors for the glutathione. So then your cells uptake those precursors and build the glutathione in your cells themselves. And that's good too. But it's still, we're still working on that. And then there's the other fourth one is CoQ10. And that is that is an antioxidant that you can supplement from, commonly goes through your digestive tract. And, I think for people my age, they recommend 500 milligrams or something like that. I'm not a medical doctor, can't give medical advice, but that's what you just see recommendations of people doing. So those are really important. And I actually supplementing with CoQ10 and even glutathione variants that they come up with. They're coming up with new ones all the time. That's really a good idea. So I would definitely support that. But there are limitations in traditional antioxidants like vitamin C and E. And basically, they don't neutralize most of the damaging oxidative radicals. Some of the ones like superoxide or hydroxyl ions, they don't really get to. They can't reset themselves on their own. The body has to grab them, refocus them, and use them. And oh, by the way, vitamin C and vitamin E are also, or other vitamins, they're also used as building blocks. So you're not taking vitamin C because it's a antioxidant. You're taking vitamin C and vitamin E and the vitamin B vitamins because they're also building blocks of various chemical structures in your body. So, if I talk about C60 or some other, ox thing, you don't want to stop taking what you're already doing. You just want to add to it because they're important things. And also the things like vitamin C, vitamin E, NAC, some of those things can't enter the mitochondria directly. But the key thing is, if you take too much, they can interfere with the body's signaling process. And I don't know if people can see this. Anyway, we have, this is just a scientific study, and it's basically antioxidants, exercise performance with a focus on vitamin E and vitamin C. And they have a few points on, but basically, they found that if you take vitamin C and vitamin E, will it increase your performance after exercise? And they found that no. Vitamin C supplements and vitamin E supplements, and this study, by the way, is like a compilation of dozens of studies. Maybe we could put it in the show notes later, but of dozens of different studies, and they found that no, taking supplements of vitamin C and vitamin E did not help, and sometimes was actually negative. And that's because the final thing here, because they interfere with the body's signaling molecule. And you have to be especially important with NAC. You don't want to take NAC before your exercise, because that can really jack with your signaling system. And so your body, because your body needs that signaling saying, it says basically, because some of that signaling molecules tells your body chemistry, hey, you need to turn this off or turn it down or something so you don't do too much damage. And if you're blocking that signaling molecule, then a lot of times your cells can damage your cells. And then you don't get the benefits of especially resistance training. That's what they say here. Like some of the conclusions, given antioxidant supplements, i.e. vitamin E and C, tend to block anabolic signaling pathways. Those are the signaling molecules I talked about. And thus impair adaptation to resistance training, and special caution should be taken with these supplements. Basically, you won't get benefit from your exercise a lot of times if you take it. One thing interesting about this study, though, they found that if you take your antioxidants in food form, that actually, like in your avocados or in your citrus fruits, that actually seems to have a little bit of benefit to you, but only when it's taken in your food form and not as a supplement. I mean, I wouldn't stop taking a lot of these supplements to a certain level, but above a level, they can be a little bit damaging. So that's just kind of one of the things there. But don't stop taking them. You still need these as for important building blocks. But the extreme amounts of vitamin C or extreme amounts of E, that's not going to do any better. In fact, you should, if you could get any vitamins in your body, the best way is in whole foods. Get them in the foods, the avocados, the citrus fruits, the green, the red and yellow vegetables, all that kind of stuff. That's really the best way to get it into your body. And and then get ready for, one secret hack for fighting oxidative stress at the cellular level. And that is the vitamin, that is carbon 60. And that's one of the ultimate antioxidants. And one of the things I want to say, I guess I'll just say it now, is carbon 60's unique antioxidant because it doesn't interfere with any of the body's signaling molecules. It only interacts with superoxide, the most damaging oxidative radical in the body. That's like an oxygen with an extra electron. So that's a super oxidizer. That's the worst one, the most damaging one. C60 interacts with that. And the body doesn't use that as a signaling molecule. It's way too damaging. The body, and also the other is the hydroxyl ion. And that's basically a water molecule missing the proton. So there's a free electron there that just wants to go out and, grab something. And that's the second most damaging oxidative radical in the body. And C60, and it isn't a signaling molecule, and C60 interacts with that. C60 doesn't interact with any of the body's signaling molecule, vitamins, supplements, nutrients, minerals, none of those. It's so like the nitrogen oxide, C60 doesn't interact with that. Doesn't interact with hydrogen peroxide or the other body's signaling molecules, which is its key thing. In fact, and which is why C60 is really the only antioxidant you can take with exercise to increase performance. And we have a lot of athletes that take this, and they'll all notice increase. We have a lot of people that were like mid-pack in their field, and now they're champions in their field. We won't mention the names, but and C60 isn't banned by any athletic association either, because it's all carbon. It's 100% carbon. It's not a mineral. It's not a nutrient. It's not a supplement. It's an allotrope of carbon. It's kind of in its own class, and you can't really ban carbon. So that's kind of one of the things for. And I thought maybe I should probably start introducing C60 now. But is there any other questions out there that people want to have that I maybe should answer before we move on?
Yeah, Ken, I think it's really interesting to talk about, right? Because you went through the Fukushima project. I mean, where did you come up with C60? Most individuals that, in our audience are studying different things that have to do with health and antioxidants. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of them have not heard of C60 or Buckminster fullerene yet. And so how did you come to discover something that would be so profoundly effective, and like how did all that lead in? I know you're going, do you have like the research of?
Oh no, that's fine. No. Yeah, no, actually I went out researching for it because basically, those scientists were dying, all the research paper. You can go on ResearchGate and actually read the paper and learn about our research. It'd be Kenneth Swartz and Gary Rodriguez that we have a little place on ResearchGate. You can read the paper. But basically all these people that were doing the research, scientists were dying, of diseases caused by radiation exposure. And we didn't want to have that to ours. And we eventually figured it out. But I just went looking for stuff. I mean, what can I find to protect my crew and myself against radiation? And that's when I discovered C60. And, and I told about how, they give it to one set of rats, hit them with a fatal dose of radiation. They lived. Those rats that didn't get C60, they immediately died. I mean, immediately. And so that's the key with C60. And oh, by the way, in the research, we did find out what was going on. Well, we found out when you have metal oxygen fusion, it actually lowers the Coulomb barrier. And that's the energy to put atoms together. And so instead of producing gamma rays, which they use Geiger counters to detect for, it was producing in the X-ray band, which Geiger counters won't detect. And so these people were really seriously X-raying themselves. And also the metal, like they use platinum and palladium electrodes and a lot of this Leonard or quote cold fusion stuff. And that actually was happening. There wasn't hydrogen isotopes like deuterium were not fusing. It was actually oxygen was fusing with the metals, platinum, palladium, to produce radon. And we all know about, radon being a serious alpha emitter. It's a serious problem in your basement. You probably heard about, you do radon tests in your basement. You need like ventilation. Well, these guys are because their experiment would vent to the laboratory. So they were breathing like 1,000 times the worst radon basement you could imagine. That's what was wiped them out. And they didn't even know it because they weren't looking for it. So that's what we discovered in our research. But we also, I discovered the C60. We used it during it. It improved my health, improved Gary's health, and we're all still around, by the way, and doing healthy. So that's kind of the whole thing that C60 was. And then, of course, I learned about C60. And C60, it's a little soccer-based molecule. You kind of see it here. It's 60 carbon atoms shaped like a soccer ball. You can see behind me in the images, and it's actually smaller than a nanometer. It's like 0.7 nanometers. So it's a really tiny molecule, and it's kind of a free radical sponge. And it's one of the most powerful antioxidants known, because it has this cage-like structure. And it's kind of unique in chemistry, which is one of the reasons why they got a Nobel Prize in chemistry, is it has the capacity to reset itself again and again. It actually pulls like hydrogen ions. If I get too sciencey here, step in and let me know. It pulls hydrogen, like most molecules. Oxidative radicals are negatively charged, right? They got that extra electron looking for a friend. So they're attracted to things that are positively charged. And C60 naturally gets a positive charge. And most atoms that molecules get a positive charge, they release an electron in the environment. So which electrons are negative. So you give away electron, now you're positive. C60 actually pulls positive hydrogen ions from the environment, stores it inside of its cage-like structure here, and then uses that to neutralize the oxidative radicals like superoxide and the hydroxyl ions.
Can you stop share for just a second if you want to show something?
Absolutely, yes. Let me do that.
Because your image for a lot of viewers is probably super small. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me undo my background too. Yeah, so you can actually see it, because when you got that blue screen on, you can't. Yeah, so this is the C60 molecule, and it's carbon atoms shaped like a little thing, and it pulls the little hydrogen ions on the inside. That's what these white things represent. And so like when a superoxide is negatively charged, attracts to it, it basically just takes the electron, gives it to one of these hydrogen atoms, makes it in hydrogen ions, turns it into hydrogen gas, and just releases it turns it back into regular oxygen, which is, you breathe oxygen. So it's back into the Krebs cycle. It's back into the metabolism of the body. And then the hydroxyl ion, the second most damaging oxidative radical in the body, that's basically a water molecule missing a hydrogen atom. And then when the hydroxyl ion sticks to the positively charged C60, one of these hydrogen ions is released and turns the hydroxyl ion back into water. So it neutralizes the two most damaging oxidative radicals in your body into oxygen and water, which then can go back to your body using again. And it can and the thing about C60, it can reset itself again and again and again and again and again. And that's why it's probably the most powerful antioxidant known, and it doesn't interfere with any of the signaling molecules, which means when you take C60, it can significantly increase your athletic performance. And we actually have, I don't supply the C60, but we have a bunch of racehorses in Europe which have gone from mid-pack to like champions in their field using C60. But we didn't supply the C60. I won't say the nation. But yeah, C60 is something. Yeah, any athletes that use C60 notice immediate increases in performance. You'll be able to run longer, faster. You'll be able to do more reps. And also one of the great things is, we'll get more of this, you can get rid of DOMS, that delayed muscle onset soreness, which you get a couple days afterwards. That goes down. Let me go back here for a second, and I'll get on to some more.
Ken, one more question that I thought was pertinent is, and maybe you're going to cover this, but has there been human clinical studies on C60?
Yes, there has, and let's go to that right now. Yes, the first human clinical studies were actually with Japanese women, and it was put in a facial cream, and they found that C60 significantly reduced wrinkles and fine lines in Japanese women. So that was the first one. The second one, they actually used another topical thing. They rubbed it on people's heads, and they found that it increased hair growth. especially people that had hair loss due to something besides male pattern baldness. So male pattern baldness is a genetic thing. And so it certainly slows down hair loss for male pattern baldness people, but it won't bring it back once it's gone. So, sorry, guys, I have a little bit myself, but a lot of other baldness, especially in women, it's been found to help because that has to do with oxidative stress and damage of the hair follicles, which can be taken care of. And so here, one of the things C60 does, like those other antioxidants don't, it gets right into the mitochondria. And mitochondria need SOD and catalase to really function well. And so C60 is a mimic for both of those. So although you can't supplement for SOD and catalase, you can use C60, which is a mimic of those two. And so it restarts your mitochondria. And that's huge. So it's the only effective treatment for mitochondria dysfunction is C60 that's ever been found. They have some where they give you precursors for it, and that takes a long time, very poor results. And so this is really the only thing that can help with mitochondrial dysfunction. And also it has no toxicity at any level. And this is because it doesn't interact with other oxidative radicals. And some of the other human studies they actually did with human cells in vitro, that's in the test tube. They found that C60 helped protect skin cells against UV damage. So, they had one set of skin cells got the C60, the other didn't. Hit them with UV light. The ones that had C60 weren't damaged. The other cells were significantly damaged. It also moderated the release of histamines in mast cells. And the histamines are the things that cause allergic reactions, your runny nose and all that. And that was later taken into animal studies. And animal studies. And and they found, like in animal studies, it prevented cytokine storm or anaphylactic shock, basically. When you had the animals that was C60 and had C60, the control ones, they hit them with an antigen that they were been allergic to, basically. And then the C60 animals did not go into anaphylactic shock like control ones did, which is really amazing things. And then the other one they did some that C60 in human cells prevented viral replications. And that's another human cell studies. They haven't really, we do have some, we did a small study on eyes because we thought it was reducing, maybe it was reducing cataracts. We did a study, we haven't published it yet, but everybody in the study significantly increased their eye acuity. It was by a PhD scientist, optometrist. It was all we just paid for it. They ran it. And we all found it was probably due to increase in retina efficiency, just like mitochondria. Just like basically the eye disease that I had, macular degeneration is caused by a problem with the retina. And retina is actually part of the brain. Nerve cells have huge amounts of mitochondria in them, the most of any cell in the body. And so it appears that any cell type that has a lot of mitochondria, like muscle cells, nerve cells, or endocrine system cells, seem to be really benefited by C60. And any conditions associated with that seem to help. And also it passes the gut barrier, the blood-brain barrier. But it also, the other thing about C60, it's been found, and this is anecdotally, and there is some animal studies that support this, that it gets rid of like inflammation in the gut. It really heals the gut lining. And so and that's a big part of autoimmune disease, really. In fact, good health starts in the gut. And some more questions?
One thing, I don't know if it's coming or maybe we skip this slide, but the discovery with Buckminster Fuller. So Randa asked about.
That's what we're going to go. That's our next one, right? Where does C60 come from?
Okay. All right. Sorry to jump ahead, my friend.
No, there it is. There's Buckminster right there. Yeah, actually, C60 is not only found in nature, but it precedes life on Earth. That's probably one of the reasons. Actually, C60 probably had something to do with the formation of RNA and DNA chemistry, because in really, really cold conditions, C60 can fit into the groove of the RNA molecule or the side groove of the DNA molecule if it was really super, super cold. Otherwise, it bounces out. But it's produced in giant red stars, but it's also produced in like lightning strikes, meteoric impacts. That's probably why in the early Earth, there was actually geologic deposits of C60. C60 is hydrophobic. likes to float, but it's fat lithic. It likes fats and amino acids, hydrogen gas. So there was actually geologic deposits of C60 in the early Earth. And also you can find it in the burnt wick of your candle. It's like 0.25%. Obviously, you have to eat a lot of burnt wicks of your candle to get enough C60, but it's there. And what's really interesting, because the science name for C60 is actually Buckminster Fullerene, and a lot of you may remember Buckminster Fullerene. He was like a polymath, and he just originally hypothesized this molecule would come to exist. He made all those geodesic domes, and so anything geodesic. So he actually hypothesized that this molecule would exist and it would have significant medical benefits long before it was discovered, and decades before the medical discovery of its medical benefits, which was kind of unique. And the actual scientists which discovered C60, which were these guys, they were all aficionados of Buckminster Fuller, and they actually knew about Buckminster Fuller's prediction of this molecule. And so that's why they named it Buckminster Fullerene in his honor. And the reason was, it was a Harry Kroto was an astronomer. And there's something in between the stars. And I mentioned before, it was made in the atmospheres of giant red stars. So there's a lot of C60 in outer space, and something between the stars was blocking in the infrared bands. And it had to be a big molecule because it was such a wide band it was blocking. But what could survive in the high energy environment of outer space? What big molecule could, right? And it took these guys a while, but Harry Kroto, Robert Pearl, and Richard Smalley, they were able to synthesize C60 in the lab. And then they actually made a little chamber where it was super cold, and they had neon frost in it. Can you imagine how cold it'd have to have neon frost? They dropped some C60 atoms in there, molecules, and then they hit them with the right infrared frequency. And they proved that the C60 was the molecule absorbing in the infrared band between the stars. And that had been a mystery since like 1913. And so they proved that, but it wasn't, but they got a Nobel Prize in chemistry in 1996. And that's kind of because of C60's, it's the first like molecule. There's actually several fullerenes. C60 is the first one. It's the one with health benefits. There's C70. It's shaped like a little rugby ball. It has no health benefits. C84, there's another C550. Those have been tested. They don't really have any health benefits, but C60 does. And so that's kind of unique. And that's why it has its ability to reset itself again and again and again. And it's only reacting with the two most damaging oxidative radicals in the body, which your body does not use as signaling molecules, is why it's characterized as several hundred times more powerful than conventional antioxidants like vitamin C or vitamin E. And it's also really the only antioxidant that's ever been found that works with people who exercise to increase the ability of your athletic performance significantly. So, and I could go over some, why do you want to take C60? What are you going to experience as somebody that takes it? It's basically, it lifts the oxidative burden at the cellular level. That's what I want to say. C60 doesn't heal, cure, or prevent any disease. What C60 does, it lifts the oxidative burden your cells are under, your mitochondria are under, so that they can operate the way that they're supposed to be. And as a result, your body can heal itself. And that's the secret of it, because as we get older, you get a little gray hair, our bodies produce a lot less antioxidants, the cells do, that used to take care of everything. And so you need to supplement basically to take care of it. Now, we talked about how you can use CoQ10 and to a certain extent glutathione and C60, but there's nothing for SOD or catalase. So when you take C60, it effectively raises the rates of SOD and catalase in your body. And also C60 does the job of glutathione in dealing with the hydroxyl ion. That's that little water molecule missing its proton. That's the main oxidative radical produced by radiation, by the way. And that's why it was so good at radiation. So that's glutathione's job. So when C60 does the job of taking care of the hydroxyl ion, what glutathione you've got left in your cells can go to do the other jobs that glutathione does. But glutathione does dozens of jobs in your cell, not just the one. C60 can take care of that one job, which is one of its main jobs, and so you don't need to have the glutathione that you do have can go to use the other jobs. And so glutathione levels actually rise when people take C60 because it's taken that burden. So what are people going to get? The first thing people notice is you're going to notice an increase in energy and mental clarity. You know, the brain fog goes away. And after a while, you get increase in stamina. You just, you know, it just goes that. And you also get like a motivation thing, because a lot of chronic inflammation is reduced or eliminated in your body with C60. And that means your dopamine levels go back up after a week or two. And then you start noticing, you know, like motivation. People, a lot of times people take C60 and then they get this control. They go clean their house, like they just go clean the house, the garage or something. They just get this burst of energy to start taking care of things they used to do. In fact, there's a website people can go to. It's called whatisc60.org. And there's like all the studies there, the good, the bad, and the ugly about C60. And basically the only type of C60 which has been found to really help improve health, and we'll talk about what C60 products you want to look for if you're looking for one, is C60 that's been dissolved as a single molecule, like dissolved in oil, that we have it in our oils and stuff. That's good. Particles of C60, like little nanoparticles consisting of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of C60 molecules, have no health benefit. In fact, they're inflammatory, like all nanoparticles are. Whether they're C60, silicon dioxide, you know, clay, or titanium dioxide or something, those are inflammatory because they're nanoparticles. Only individually dissolved molecules of C60 or of silica have any health benefits, because that's something that your body can process, right, biochemically. A particle of C60, that's like a fragment of glass, basically. It's a shard, right? And it's not beneficial. So you need to know that. And so other things that people notice, I mentioned before, skin health and hair growth. Everybody that takes C60, you'll notice your nails will grow faster, your hair will grow quicker and longer. And also a lot of people, if you have like white hair, it'll come back salt and pepper. My hair used to be a little more gray and white in it than it is today. And so C60 has actually brought back a lot of my hair color. And of course, it's also reduces fine lines and wrinkles when you put it topically. But that, I think that also works when you take it internally, because I've noticed that, you know, people will comment on my skin and stuff and say, wow, it's really nice.
You do have very nice skin, Ken.
Yeah, and that's I've been taking C60 for, what is it, 8 years now, I think, or 9 years. And so it's yeah, it's definitely slowed down the aging process. So it's but of course, you know, it's not. And this is one thing I want to say too. C60 is not a magic pill. And let me guess, C60 is just one tool in the toolbox of good health. I mean, you have to eat, you know, C60 can make things run better, but you have to eat a really nutritious diet so that your body has like all the building blocks it needs to build itself up. And you have to drink the clean water that doesn't have toxins in it. In fact, you need to avoid toxins at all costs. You know, look, I mean, they found that just eating organic food for 2 weeks reduced the pesticide and herbicide burden in your body by 90%. So, I mean, just nutrition and diet are so important. And of course, I recommend, I can't recommend because I'm not a medical professional, but certainly I would encourage people to take like a multivitamin. And there's a lot of supplements you probably need. Like you probably talked about anything like magnesium and iodine and a few other of those things that we're just missing in the American diet. A lot of micro minerals, because a lot of our food is produced on land that's been like pretty much worked over through chemical fertilizers, and they've kind of overworked the land. And so a lot of trace minerals are missing. So all of those things you need to have for, you know, it's just one tool in the toolkit for good health. So I don't want to encourage people to, you know, you still have to eat well. You still have to, you know, do good lifestyle choices, not smoking or drinking too much or all of those other things. I mean, you know, everybody tries to do the best they can. Well, a lot of teeth, but there's always a few things. And C60 can help make up for those, the few excesses and sometimes just those toxins that are everywhere in our environment that we really can't avoid. And
awesome, Ken. So do you have more that you'd like to share, or do you want
I got plenty more. Yeah, I got lots more to go here. And something else that your guests may like is there's an app called Think Dirty. I don't know if you can get it, and it'll read the QR codes or the scan codes on your health products, and on like products you use for cosmetics and like household cleaning products. It'll give them a score. It'll tell you, so you can just get this app for your phone, Think Dirty, and then you can go out, and when you're buying products, is this a good product for cosmetic for me to buy? You just scan the code on the product, and it'll tell you, is this good? It gives you kind of a ranking. That's a really nice thing to have, and I use it myself. So it's something.
What is the name of it? So Patricia can drop
It's called Think Dirty.
Okay.
Think Dirty, and it's a free app, and you just buy it, and then you can just with your just turn on this camera on your phone and just scan it and give you it'll give you it's ranking good, bad, or really bad, basically.
Awesome.
So
it's the app called Think Dirty. It's free, and you can download it on your phone. Awesome.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, here's I just talked about it earlier. That basically C60 pulls hydrogen ions from the environment and then uses it to neutralize the oxidative radicals. Either it gives them like an electron, it can give an electron away, or the hydrogen ion takes it or takes it. So, but basically it can reset itself. The key you want to remember, it can reset itself again and again and again under its own power. It doesn't need energy from the cell to do this. Like if you've got a glutathione or an SOD or a catalase or CoQ10, when it oxidizes or combines an oxidative radical, it changes, it kind of links together. And then your body has to use an enzyme and some ATP to like pull them apart and, set away their oxidative radical, which is now neutralized, and then reset your antioxidant. And that takes energy and time. Whereas C60 can reset itself again and again, hundreds of times a second if necessary. And it doesn't need to use any ATP or energy from your cells in your body. So it's not a burden on your cellular metabolism. And that's one of its key, it's kind of its key secret. And then we think that's because maybe C60 had been the original antioxidant. And here's some more I was going to talk about, although I talked about it before. It's oxidative stress is the main thing when you come to athletic performance. Because when you're exercising a lot, your mitochondria are turning out energy. They're just burning, and that's what builds with lactic acid. Basically, all your antioxidants that your body naturally produces are used up and need to be reset, and that's when you get the lactic acid buildup. It's basically a limiting factor that says, hey, you've used up, you can't go anymore. You get the tired, you get the lactic acid buildup. People take C60, they can go a lot longer because C60 is neutralizing, because your mitochondria can produce 10, 50 times more oxidative radicals during heavy exercise than they could every day when you're doing it. And that just floods out into your cells and it causes a lot of damage. And that's what DOMS is, that delayed onset muscle soreness, because that's, it's like a day after, or 2 days, even 2 days after exercise, that's when your soreness really hits. And that's because your body's kind of repairing like the membranes that got damaged, proteins that got damaged. It's just, and it's also a message to your body, to you, not to do more exercise because you're really sore. So you don't want to do any more exercise. And that's kind of that's kind of what the body's saying, hey, that's enough. Let's do any more. And so we had, like, for instance, examples of this. We had we had a guy that used C60, and his son was is in college football, right? Was going to college football to training camp, and they just worked those guys really hard there. So he gave a bunch of C60 to his son, and his son shared it with his roommate. And so they go to training camp, and everybody was exhausted at the end. But the son and the friend would drink a bunch of C60, and then like 45 minutes later, they're ready to go out and party on the town, where the rest of the team is like totally exhausted and can't do anything, till the next day. And after a while, they eventually talk to the coaches, and the assistant coaches say, "What are you guys doing? How can you guys do this?" And they learned about C60, and a lot of the team and the assistant coaches took C60, but they didn't win their title, but they did better probably. I won't say the team; they don't want to do that. So that's kind of his. And so this is some of the athletes. These are some of the we have athletes. These are some of the athletes that use our product that decided, they gave us things. So we got an ultra runner. We got Connor Carrick. He's a NHL guy. Probably some of you that follow hockey may know of him. And so some of the athletes, and they just kind of make their comments like on how it's how it kind of helps them take. We had to take some of the stuff out because you can't post certain things that have health claims or health benefits. But yeah, they've found that C60 really has improved their athletic performance, and as a result, they've given us recommendations or testimonials. We have some questions I can answer. Any more?
No, I think let's go to the end and then we'll cover all questions.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Yeah, and so what's going on? Yeah, and so daily use, that's one of the things. C60 takes somewhere between 4 and 10 days to process through the body, depending on which scientific study you read. And so basically you just want to take it like every day. And in the morning, these are some of our customers there. And so some of the things, I've been sleeping much more soundly since using C60. I generally had horrible sleep, but I can fall asleep within minutes. Now I wake up feeling fresh and rejuvenated. One of the things that C60 does, because it restarts the mitochondria make pregnenolone, the precursor molecule for all the hormones. So like in your pineal gland will produce more melatonin. I see somebody has a hand up there, and I'd be happy to answer his question. And then like your pituitary hypothalamus gland, that will produce more human growth hormone and all the other hormones. That's a master gland. You get people, we've had people with Hashimoto's or on medication for thyroid. They reduce their thyroid medication. That's really common. Oh, by now I should tell you one counter indicator, by the way. If you're on a blood thinner, you need to consult with your doctor before you take C60, because you're going to need more testing. Because one of the things that C60 does, it restarts your adrenal glands, and your adrenals make the mineral corticoids, which regulate blood, quote, thickness. And so if you're taking C60, your blood can go back to the way it should be. And then if you're taking a blood thinner on top of that, then your blood can be too thin, and that's not good for you. So you need to consult with your doctor on that. And we've also had the same thing, but to a slower extent, with people that are taking, hormone replacement therapy, the sex hormones. Like we have guys, we had a 7-year-old guy. This is actually happened to a couple of them. He goes to his doctor. He's, kind of doing what he's, up to. And the doctor tests him, and he's got like hormone levels of 350, testosterone levels of 350, and which is kind of low. And so the doctor prescribes him creams, and he gets up to the mid 700s, which is, it's kind of good. Well, he started taking C60. He goes into his doctor the next time. His hormone levels, testosterone, is up to 1200, which is pretty high for a 7-year-old. And so so the doctor took him off the creams, and he's been doing fine since. So that's some of the things that you can do. But it's not like hormone replacement therapy where you only get one hormone and it kind of unbalances everything. C60 restarts like all the endocrine system in your body. So, and then your body decides what hormones it wants to make. So if you need more progesterone or estrogen or testosterone, that happens. But that is another side effect. People look out. People that take C60 have a significant increase in libido for men and women. So just be aware that's a side effect if you take C60, which I guess is a good side effect. And here's some of the different testimonials. Like here's one. It says, I'd like to let you know that I love C60. I've been taking it for a little over a year. I can tell you my blood sugar has gone down quite a few points. My aches and pains and my joints have disappeared. I have clarity of mind. I feel great. She shares a bottle. C60 is great with pets too. And I love your product. I take the MCT oil, and I recommend at that age. I'm going to get into the different types of oils here in a bit. This is the study, by the way, that started everything off. C60 was discovered in 1985. It got a Nobel Prize in 1996 in chemistry, but it was really hard to make. And it was years before they figured out a mechanism to make enough to do testing. And this is one of the first tests for toxicity, right? You want to test how is it going to affect animal lifespan. And what they found, it basically increased, it almost doubled the lifespan of test animals. In this case, increased rats' lifespan by 90%. And when that happened, they were thinking it might be toxic or maybe do nothing. And instead increased lifespan really significantly. And so this is kind of the one that started off the whole health thing with C60. I mean, almost doubling the lifespan of test animals is pretty significant, when they were expecting it to be toxic. And I talked about the radiation thumbs. Here's another one. C60 carbofilurine mimic improves cognition, extend the lifespan of mice. They basically, this one they tested mice. They ran mice through a maze, and they found that they didn't get Alzheimer's from mice. Basically, they kept their brain through their aging process, and they lived significantly longer than the mice that didn't get it. And they did that by running them through mazes. So they were able to run through the maze as fast as they ever could. And one of the reasons, like especially the back one here, the reason they use Wistar rats, which usually die of cancer, and C60 completely prevented the occurrence of cancers, cognitive decline, and other diseases associated with aging in rats, which are similar to diseases in humans. And so that's kind of that. And some things on what you want to do in C60. Usually you want to take C60 for like a whole month. I mean, you'll get some immediate results, but you'll see a lot more after taking it a month, because it takes about 5 to 10 days. It lifts that oxidative burden, then your body starts rebuilding itself. And so after a month, you're really going to notice like more energy, more stamina, the mental clarity, the brain fog's gone, lots of aches and pains in the joints have been reduced. And we have kind of a dosage chart here. On our website, you can have all of this. And also some of this comes when you get the product. We have QR codes and stuff you can go to. And a lot of this is for people this is kind of like the weight age. So like if you're 100 to 160 pounds, 1 tablespoon a day is a teaspoon, sorry, 1 teaspoon a day is perfectly fine. But if you have a little gray hairs and stuff, you probably want to double up on that. And I think 2 teaspoons is a tablespoon, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. No, maybe it's 3. Is it 3? Okay, 3, yeah. So you might want to double up to like maybe 2 teaspoons. And then for me, I take over a tablespoon a day, because I'm a little bit heavier. I'm down there in the 160 to 220. So I'm basically performance dose, which I do, or which is what you want to do if you've got gray hair. Basically, you want to do the performance dose, because as you get older, the amount of antioxidants, especially SOD and catalase, decline. And so you need to up your C60 to do it there. So those are available. And this is what I want to talk about, which carrier is right for you. And also, let me see if we have it. And also the type of C60. When the C60 market was small and there was just a handful of us in it, and pretty much all the producers were making a good quality product for their customers, okay? Then C60 became popular, kind of blew up on the internet, and a lot of fly-by-nighters came in, and they started, and just like the CBD market, we started having problems. And so you have to be careful with your things. So like for the C60, what you want to look for is sublimated C60. And I don't know if you remember from high school chemistry class, but sublimation is the cousin of evaporation. It's when a solid turns into a gas, then back into a solid. It's like distillation. And you always want to get sublimated C60 and 99.99 or 99.98, because that's what sublimation does. Sublimation is the purest, cleanest way of purifying C60, and it's never been exposed to solvents, which is the problem with a lot of C60 that's out there in the market, and that's solvent produced. They use a solvent called methylbenzene, a known carcinogen. I don't know if you probably heard about it, but it's something you don't want to take or have in your thing. And it's also called toluene. And they basically dissolve, the C60 will dissolve in toluene, and then they boil the toluene off and bake it off to get out all the C60, all the toluene out of it, the methylbenzene, the carcinogen out of it. And the problem is there's always like a little tiny bit left in that. So like you have to be careful. Now, if 99.99%, that's pretty pure, even if it was toluene based, but there's still tiny toluene. But if you get something like 99.9% C60 or 99.5% C60, that other 0.1% or that 0.5%, that's 0.5%, by the way, is toluene, methylbenzene, a toxic chemical. So that's why you always want to look for 99.99 or 98% C60, but the key thing is it's sublimated C60. That's the safest, healthiest part of C60 you want, and that's the key. And we're not the only people that put out sublimated C60 in their products, right? That's just a decision a C60 company makes on, how does it care about itself and its customers. If they use sublimated C60, that's the best, healthiest out there. That's because, they probably use it themselves. So you just want to be careful of that. And then the other is the carrier oils that you put it in. And I'm sure you've probably talked about the PUFAs, right? And we kind of pick the Goldilocks of oils. Now there's some oils, and I'm sure you've had other discussions about that. They're basically the seed oils. These seed oils are really high in omega-6s and are pretty inflammatory for you. In fact, they're one of the causes of many diseases, especially weight gain in people today. And we're talking about canola oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, God forbid you eat that, even sunflower and safflower oil. These oils are high in omega-6s, they're inflammatory. And I mean, the whole reason you're taking C60 or other antioxidants is to avoid, inflammation. And so putting C60 in those oils is not a good idea. But then there's the other oils that are really healthy for you, like fish oil, hemp seed oil, flaxseed oil. These oils are really high in omega-3s and they're really good for you. Only problem is they go rancid really quickly. In fact, that's something I would encourage anybody to do. If you're buying a fish oil, hemp seed oil, or a flaxseed oil, it's best to buy it out of the refrigerated section of your health food store, because you don't really know how long that, the fish oil has been on the shelf in the bottle. And it's because it's omega-3, it goes rancid really quickly. So I just recommend people buy that. And we don't put C60 in that because it might get rancid by the time it gets to you. So we chose like the Goldilocks of oils, like olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. And we all know about the Mediterranean diet, right? It's been on for quite a while. And so that's, we put it in there. We also put in avocado oil. When C60 first came out, the only stuff I could find was in olive oil. And I kind of have a sensitive digestive system. So if I took like a tablespoon or two of C60 and olive oil, I might have to go visit the bathroom. And, that kind of gets rid of the whole reason I'm taking the C60, right? So I found that if I put in avocado oil, well, that's much easier to digest. And if you've never taken an oil straight before, I'd recommend avocado oil because that's the easiest to digest the oils. And it's still healthy. It's really good and healthy for you. It has a nice balance of omega-3 and omega-6s. And then there's the MCT coconut oil. And that is, I talked about it. What MCT stands for is medium chain triglycerides. And those can be taken by your liver and turned into ketones. And then your cells can use those ketones as an instant energy source. And so it's like flex fuel for your cells. So if you have a glucose processing issue, and and so you can't, like you got insulin resistance, your cells can take that MCTs, the ketones produced by the MCTs, and use it as a fuel for your body. So that's really, really good support. And of course, you got the C60 on top of it, which is uptaken, and which helps you deal with the oxidative radicals. So a lot of athletes use that. In fact, we've had the guys go from mid-pack to champions in their field, and they almost always use MCT oil. A lot of times they'll mix it with the water that they get, going around the track or something, and that gives them, like, you get a jolt of energy. You got the C60 to fight the oxidative radicals, and you've of course you got your water. So that's one of their hacks that they do to really increase performance. And so those are the three oils we have that are the best. And I guess we have a little comparison chart here. You can kind of see what different things it does in there. And so some things do better than others, but it's just different things. One of the things we really found with C60 and oil products, and pretty much any of them, is that a really improvement in gut health. And gut health is so key. We had people that had the various Crohn's and leaky gut, and using C60, it's significant to reduce their symptoms and their diseases. And they write us letters, say, hey, my doctor found this, my doctor found that. Because when if you heal your gut, a lot of those things in your gut, like food particles, bacteria products, they don't leak into your bloodstream, and then you don't get the autoimmune diseases. They go way down because they're not, your immune system isn't attacking those things anymore because it's not in your body anymore. And also, when you have a healthy gut, one of the things that's been found, I didn't talk about, C60 appears to increase stem cell production. So we have guys that, we have a lot of stem cell therapy here on the Front Range of Colorado. And so a lot of our customers are here, and they go in and they say, they're 7 years old. Guys come running in, and And they say, what are you guys doing? You have like the stem cell level of a 20-year-old. And, you know, he says he's using C60. So, and that's also one of the reasons why the facial in Japanese women, it got rid of fine lines and wrinkles. It's because the skin needs to be renewed through stem cells, right? Replacing the old ones. And so you don't produce enough stem cells as you get older, your skin gets thin, right? Well, when you increase your stem cell levels, then skin quality improves. And it's the same with gut, because gut is actually part of the skin. They're part of the same cell class. And so that's one of the benefits there. And we'll go on. I'm kind of taking a long time here. What do you want to see results? Usually we like to take like 30 days. Some people's results the first week, right? The mental clarity, increased energy. But after you take it for about a month, we encourage that, which is basically a bottle. That's when you see a lot of the benefits, because your cells, once the oxidative burden is lifted, they start rebuilding themselves. And that's after, you know, a month or even 2 of rebuilding, you really see increases in benefit. And so we also have on our website, we have like all of these. We have a few other things. We give C60. We have in various, we have it like in cinnamon, peppermint, orange. A lot of people use it, and it's all in MCT because that holds the flavor the best. And they've used it in their coffee for the paleo coffee. And we have like a little recipe book on C60 oil products. You can put it like in boiled water, smoothies, or coffee. We just don't say don't fry it and don't, you know, pan sear it, because it's carbon, right? It will carbonize if you use that level of heat. And I talked about the companies here, and we got to, okay, what to look for, again, 99.99 or 98% pure C60, sublimated C60, healthy carrier oil. And some we like to think we have like a QR code on the side of our products, where you can go and you can just scan it in, and you can see that kind of, we have you can see we got QR codes for the source of our oil, so you know where our oil is, the source of our C60, and also when we do product, we send it to a third party. They test it for microbiotics and concentration. You can see that too. That's the third party tested. And we have various other things here. I don't want to get too much into that. Oh, here's the code here. Let me get that. This is a fitness code for everybody out there. If you go to our website, shopc60.com, and use the code FITNESSDOC, you get a 10% off for everybody going to it. So you can do I think you might have a link, but always use that fitness code so that he will get a benefit here. And also we have a VIP offer today. So we have our new gummies. I don't know if I'll probably show it to you. This is our product. This is probably the first time we've announced it. We have a new 30 gummies in a box. It's a little gummy here. I'll probably go that, and they're really tasty. It's like a tart cherry. So for any VIP, the first 20 VIP persons that get there, just go today at support@shopc60.com, and the subject line, just put that in the subject, Gummy Me VIP, and give us your first name, your last name, and a mailing address, an email, phone number, and we will send you a free box of our gummies, $120 value. So we're giving those away today. And let's see here. Okay. And let's see, I think that's it. So let me leave that up for a little bit, and let me answer any questions people have now.
Awesome. And thank you, Ken. And yeah, so for any of our VIPs, you have a free box of their new gummies, and it has this super high quality 99.99% C60 in there. And as you'll see in the product pricing, it really is a $120 box of their C60.
Yeah, I see.
So,
Jeff Kennedy.
So that's specifically for VIPs.
Yeah, I see that Jeff Kennedy's out there, and he did give us a warning. Flaxseed is a great source of omega-3, but it's a terrible estrogen hormone disruptor, so beware. Thank you there, Jeff.
Yeah, it's true. It's right.
No, there's something wrong. No, yeah, yep. Oh, soy is also, he also has that there, yes. Soy, oh yeah, the soy is a really, soy is really yeah, I guess I could have gone into that, how it's a terrible estrogen mimic. And they actually did a scientific study of men in Japan who use soy products that are not fermented. Fermented soy products are fine, but they basically shriveled their brains. You know, the tofu eaters got shriveled brains, so you don't want to use soy oils at all. That's, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's really important, and a lot of people don't know that.
So Ken, Patricia has posted in the chat what you have on the screen, so
okay.
you can
Okay, I'll get
that.
out of here. Let me stop sharing, so you can actually see me. And
then do you have a link for those who want to purchase C60 and get the 10% off? Do you have?
Yeah, it's just a let me go. What was that? Yeah, let me go back. Let me do that one more time. And let me go back here.
The link.
Oh, you got the link? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fitness doc, yeah. Just use that shop C60 and put that. Okay, if they've got the link in there, then I'm out of here again. I just wanted to make sure that there's.
Okay, so Patricia dropped that link in the chat for you.
Great,
if you'd like
cool.
to
So
purchase C60 with the 10% discount. And then for VIPs, of course, you can purchase if you'd like to purchase C60, absolutely. But as a VIP, this is actually something I talked to Jess and Ken about. I'm like, we have to give something to VIPs because they're VIPs. So I very much appreciate them doing that. It is not something they came to me. It was like right away. So I asked them, and it was awesome that they extended that. It's not, they do not do big specials. They don't give product away. The C60 is a very difficult to make product, which actually, Ken, I want you to talk about a little bit, because as they start looking at the pricing, they're going to say, wow, this costs more than most supplements. Right. And so I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to put you on the Ken spot, Ken, is why does C60 cost so much? Right. So
actually, we actually have to make it the same way that they we have a company, I'm not going to name their name, that does it special for us, the sublimated version. And you have to actually make it originally the same way they make it in giant red stars. So you actually have this chamber where you have a low pressure helium atmosphere, about 10% the pressure of Earth, and you put 2 carbon rods in there, and you run a big electrical system thing to it, and it turns it into like dust, basically a carbon dust. And if you do it right, you can turn about 10% of that carbon turns into fullerenes. About 98% of it's C60. There's a little C70 and some C84, and those two don't have any health benefits. C70 may have a little bit of negative benefit, we're not sure. And then comes the really expensive part, and that's the purification part. And that's where we use the sublimator. And when you have a sublimator, they're probably 10, 12 feet long and about that big around. But they only have small batches in it. And actually, high purity C60 costs more by weight than gold. So that stuff is like gold dust. And so sometimes make sure you shake your bottle too. If any settles out, you want to shake that bottle, get it back into solution. So for
VIPs, we got you a free box of gold.
Yeah, it's like gold.
That's pretty good.
Dissolved gold in our things. And but you got to be careful. These are really tasty, and you'll be tempted to take more than one. But really, you only need 1 or maybe 2 of these a day to get your C60 bucks. Basically, for me, it's like 2 because I got the gray hair. But for most people, it's younger people, it's 1. It'd be fine.
So we already have Jeff and Sheila that have raised their hands, and I want to let everyone know, all VIPs and all of our audience members, if you have any questions to ask, now's the time that we will answer all questions. You can, of course, raise your hand, and we'd love to chat with you, or you can post your comments in the chat. We'll also address those, and we will go to questions.
If I may say something very quickly about C60. Ken, I've been taking C60 since you guys sent to us about what, Robbie? It has been 3 months now?
Yeah, 2.5 months ago, yeah.
And I take every day, and I also been taking omega-3 every day combined, and I had horrible menstrual pains. Like, holy moly, why God did this to women? This was my question every day that I had a period. And for 3 months now, I have had 0 to no menstrual pains. And this is, I've been having this for what, probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even move. I could barely move. So the only two different things that I've been doing very consistently is omega-3 and C60. So definitely the combination for me, thank you.
Oh, yes.
This is
Yeah.
quality of life.
Yeah, that's a common thing that women have, the PMS symptoms go down. And another is allergies. People have significant reduction in allergies. If you're really allergic to things, it'll really help. It doesn't get rid of them all, but they go way down.
Oh, thank you.
And first up in our Q&A, hi, Jeff. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, 1 second. And we'll bring you up on Zoom stage with us.
Oh, there we go.
And give
There
you a
we
link.
go. Okay, great. So in the middle of your presentation, I got an emergency call from my wife. I'm supposed to go and rescue her, and I should have left half an hour ago, but this talk was so fantastic that I'm making her wait. So I have to make this really quick, and then I'm going to have to run. As I've told the VIP class, I have really screwy hormone imbalance. I'm very low normal on testosterone, around 330 range. And my estradiol is 5 times the high end of the quote unquote normal range for men. So it's weird. And that's how, in trying to research how to deal with this, that's how I ran across Think Dirty. That's how I ran across the book Estrogeneration that I mentioned in my comments. That's how I know about flax and soy and all that kind of stuff, because I talked to a functional medicine doctor, and she said one of the things that I have is very high inflammation. But she just said that indirectly. It wasn't a direct test. And so I've been exploring all the different ways I can to reduce inflammation without actually any hard data as to how bad it was. In the process, I recently, just about 6 weeks ago, I ran across this product. Actually, I found it, I think it was on YouTube or Instagram, one of the two. It's a company called Nuubu, Nuubu, and they have these herbal pads that you apply to the soles of your feet. And the reason you apply it to the soles of your feet is the highest density of sweat glands per unit area on your whole body is the bottom of your foot, not where the heel and the ball calluses are, but the other part. So this is 5 sets of 2 pads, and they say it takes about 2 weeks, and then you start seeing results. And when you put the pad on before you go to bed, you leave it for 6 to 8 hours, you wake up, you peel it off, and it's filled with this black tar-like goo. And when you leave it out to sort of dry, it dries like hard, like fiberglass resin. And I don't know how it works, but I used this for 2 weeks, and my pads were solid black the whole 2 weeks, which suggests to me inferentially that I do indeed have very high toxins load in my body. I have no idea what they are. So first question is, how can I get a test of what my toxin load is, my oxidative stress load? I did look up the formaldehyde test. I couldn't find anything other than industrial process kind of testing.
Yeah, we'll have to get something we could put on a link with so that the people could get there. But yeah, that is available. And oh, by the way, I have that product to use it too. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, no, it's an aldehyde test, and yeah, we'll
Not
link something
formaldehyde, aldehyde.
Right.
Yeah, an aldehyde. Yeah, it's aldehyde. Aldehyde is just a class of family of it, and it's just basically a damaged carboxylic acid. And carboxylic acid is basically what makes up your membranes. So when all the oxidative species go out there and damage your cell membranes, it breaks off pieces which are aldehydes, and then the aldehydes circle in your blood, and then they come out in urine, and then you can test it there. They have a little chemical that reacts to it. If you have none, it's clear. If it reacts, it's various shades of dark of red. And so, yeah, and we'll do some linkage, but yeah, that is available out there. And it's we need to get you the right one. So there's one that has like a couple tests, but that one, it's $20, then you have to get another one. But there's some that are a little more expensive and you can like do multiple tests.
Ken, after the show, can you find that? And then when we
Yeah,
send
we'll
out
find, I'll
the
find
show
one,
replay,
and we'll have to do some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
That's the
I'd
thing
be
that's really cool.
I'd be happy to volunteer myself as a test subject if you have some protocol that you'd like me to follow, and I'm trained as a scientist. I can collect the data and get it back to you, because I'd like some way to give back. So think about that.
Oh yeah, we could probably do something, especially if you're going to, because you have the low testosterone range. We don't know about the estradiol, so you could be, C60 will raise your testosterone levels through, because it restarts it, but it might also do something, because I don't know the process of turning I guess testosterone to estradiol. There's a whole process there, and it's kind of complicated. And there's some of that stuff is just
Human biochemistry is complication cubed. It's just insane.
It's been a while since I've been in school, and let me tell you, if you're out 5 years, in 5 years, our total understanding of like the biochemistry, especially the subtleties of the Krebs cycle and some of these hormone things, as just, it's unbelievable. You go away 6 months and you're almost obsolescent.
Yeah, and then if you could give us the link to the recipe book and your tincture sale page, that would be great.
Well, I think it's on the website there.
Okay.
If you just go to our website, shopc60.com, and kind of wander around, we have testimonials. You have some of the science papers, and don't forget, if you really want to get the stuff, there's it's whatisc60.org. If you go to that website, it has the good, the bad, the ugly of the test, and it will also point out, there's some tests, the C60, that are inflammatory, but that's because they're particles of C60. That's why you always got to be careful. Things I didn't mention, they have people sell C60 and charcoal. Yeah, there's C60 and charcoal the same level as in a burnt wick of a candle, but you'd have to eat literally a whole, burquettes of charcoal to get enough, right? That's not, and then there's like dissolved C60. There is C60 that's polyhydroxynated that you can get, but that's for like laboratories, and it costs 5 times more than our C60 because it's a laboratory grade injectable stuff. And then they'll claim they're solid, but it's just dissolved C60 particles. No benefit there. There's just so many of these. Go shopc60.com, the research, and that we can only show you the human studies at our website. The whatisc60.com, they put all the studies up there so you can see them all. And there's a little commentary so you can understand what you're seeing for those people that aren't scientific.
Thank you so much for this information. This is fabulous. And Robbie, I know you want me to be fast, so I have to run off.
Go rescue your wife.
Okay. Much love to you, Jeff. Make it a great rest of your weekend. There's some, before we go to Sheila, there's some communication in the chat about European purchasing. So we have Randa, who lives in Paris, France, and
Canada.
And Canada, and so do you have shipments that come out of that, like Randa's talking about?
We ship to Canada and Europe. We used to have a European distributor, but I don't know what happened. I think he got older or something, and he decided he wasn't going to do it anymore. But we do definitely ship to Europe. Canada, we tried to get a distributor in there, but Canadians' government is really difficult. We can ship into Canada, but for a distributor to get it in, and I apologize to our Canadian customers, because the whole customs problem with Canada is just really terrible. And they already know the VAT that they put on and the difficulties of getting things delivered into Canada already. I don't need to go over that.
So you can't deliver to Canada?
We do deliver, but it may take a little bit of time, and they slap the VAT on.
I see. Okay.
And because it's a little bit more expensive because of the VAT they put on everything.
I see.
Yeah, that's the Canadian government's people. Yeah, we don't control the Canadian government.
Of course. And then, and Sheila, hello, welcome.
Hi,
hello.
Ken, you mentioned high doses of vitamin C and E could interfere with some of the natural pathways. What's a high dose? I've been diagnosed with an estrogen-oriented breast cancer, and so I'm taking an estrogen blocker, and my diet consists of food that aren't high in estrogen. You know, I'm very conscientious about all that, and I'm testing my hormone panel regularly. And I was just wondering, because I'm taking up to tolerance 6 grams of vitamin C, which is always recommended for cancer, and I was just wondering if I'm getting into that danger zone.
You're getting a little bit close. It's usually around 10 grams,
Okay.
10 or more. That's when you really start to see the negative effects. And so that's, yeah, so there's, and of course, the best way to take vitamin C is, even though it's really hard to take that levels of vitamin C, is with, you know, the natural foods. One thing I also do is I take limes, you know, I cut off the little ends and I'll just blend the whole lime up. There's actually scientific studies that I've read that, you know, the whole, because there's a lot of, first, there's a lot of vitamin C in the rim, in the whatever you call that, the peel, than there is in the thing. And also there's a bunch of other beneficial things in the peel. So I just do, like I do a smoothie with, I throw the whole lime in and hit it. And that's a really good way of getting high vitamin C.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So go with natural source.
Yeah, if you can, you know, sometimes you gotta do a little extra if you need it. Yeah, also another thing I found is B vitamins. A lot of people, as you get older, especially myself, because of I do biogeochemistry, I've done DNA tests. I don't process B vitamins as good as I should. So I have to supplement for B12, and also have a supplement for like a broad spectrum of B vitamins. It's something that comes with aging.
Romilly, hello, welcome. Good to see you.
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
You are.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My brother recently in his 70s got diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I haven't noticed it's come up on the diseases. Is it like a neurological disease maybe? I haven't noticed it in the class of things that you treat with carbon 60.
Unfortunately, Parkinson's, we have people that have Parkinson's, and when they use C60, and Huntington's too, their symptoms go way down. They don't go away, but they go way down when they're using C60. And Parkinson's, unfortunately, is like, I think Michael J. Fox has it. He got it because of organophosphate pesticide poisoning. In fact, most Parkinson's people have maybe due to organophosphate pesticide poisonings.
Which is why it's proliferating everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Because people use it to spray their houses or get the stuff put on their lawns and stuff. And, you know, that just vaporizes, people breathe it in. So yeah, that's one of the things you never want to use in your house is an organophosphate pesticide, because anything that's going to kill an insect, you know, it kills at the basic cellular level, right? It's going to mess with you because, you know, the cellular level metabolism in our cells is almost identical to that in insects. You know, even though they may look different, our biochemistry is the same because that's so preserved. So yeah, that's a nasty no-no they'll sell it to you, but you wouldn't want to put it in your house anywhere.
Is that a case where the medication he's taking, which for Parkinson's, would not jibe with the C60 somehow?
Oh no, C60 never interferes with any medications ever. It
Okay.
does those 2 oxidative radicals. C60 would benefit. Right, C60 would benefit. Yeah, anybody with Parkinson's. We've had so many people. It reduces the symptoms, but it's not going to heal or eliminate the disease. But it certainly, we seem to do slows the progression and reduces the symptoms.
Good.
That's what we found anecdotally from customers.
Great.
Janie, hello. Is a Canadian VIP?
Yeah, that's me. You can hear me, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So yes, I'm the Canadian who's trying to order stuff. And on the website, it doesn't give me an option to put Canada in. It only has US. So I'm wondering if there's another way I can access.
Oh yeah, no, that's
It's 1 week.
yeah, that's a technical problem we're having.
It'll be resolved.
Yeah, we're gonna resolve that soon, and because we've been having, yeah, there's a technical problem.
It's with the website.
Yeah.
For international.
Yes, for international shipping only, and we're gonna have that fixed here pretty soon. And there was because we have to integrate it with like UPS and DHL, and they've changed their stuff, so we have to change ours to go with all the custom stuff. It's one of those software issue things. We should have it fixed here pretty soon.
Okay, that would be great. And then the other thing was I wanted to get one of those free things, but I have reactive hypoglycemia. And so I figured the gummies had some kind of sugar in it for
They got
sure.
about 3 grams per gummy.
Yeah, so
It's
that
pretty
was
low.
no for me.
Or yes, you might get the other one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's probably not too much. 3 grams is within the acceptable limits for most people, but but still, yeah, if you've got hypoglycemia, that's probably, or that, yeah, you probably need to go to a lower. But
Yeah.
avocado oil is one I'd recommend because that's the easiest to digest. And how
Right.
close do you live to the border?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we have a lot of people, if they order, they have like a post office box over the border in the Detroit area, and they just drive across and load up their stuff and then drive. Then they avoid the VAT
Yeah.
and all the hassles that come with Canadian customs. And since
Oh,
most
Bellingham
Canadians
too.
Great.
close to the
That's great. I
yeah,
think
there's a
I'll
whole
probably-
bunch of people that do that. That's the way you get around the hassles with the Canadian post office. So most Canadians live, pretty close to the U.S. border, so they can just get a post office box and drive back and forth.
They
Right.
need to create, you need to
I
have
don't
like your
care.
you need to have your C60 customers work together in Canada.
Yeah,
where,
there's
like,
ways to hack the whole system up in Canada.
one will pick up and ship to everyone else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have cataracts, which are starting to really act up, probably because things are slowly or more quickly disintegrating now as I get older. And they're going to do surgery on one of my eyes at the end of September, so that's pretty quick. I was trying to find something that might do something to stop
Yes.
those cataracts, but
Yeah, C60, we have found, we did a study on it. C60 maybe probably prevents more damage and slowly helps the thing. But the problem is that lens cells have a really slow metabolism, have very few mitochondria. And so it's a
Right.
really long process. Whereas, but for surgery, as far as surgery go, people that use C60 before and after surgery have incredibly positive results.
no,
Dozens
good.
of our customers have done that, and they say it's just amazing. The doctors say, I've never seen somebody heal so fast. So, because probably something to do with the stem cells and just the anti-inflammatory effects of C60. So yeah, C60 with surgery just helps fantastic.
Yeah, that's great news. I'm looking forward to using C60 when I order it.
Okay. I think if you go to support at C60, they could probably do a special order and get it to you that way. We just
Okay.
can't get to the website right now. We'll have that up probably next week. It's one of those periodic software things because we have to, everything gets to get upgraded with all other shippers and they change their systems. We got to change ours. It's a pain.
Right, no problem. I'll do that. Thank you. Great information.
Yes.
You're welcome, Janie.
Skin looks beautiful, by the way.
What is it? I'm sorry. Say it again.
Skin looks beautiful.
Oh yeah, for
thanks.
sure. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
No wrinkles.
Yeah. Well, there's a few wrinkles, but try to keep them down.
Okay, thanks so much.
I got little hanging eyelids from my Laplander ancestors on the side of the family. Reindeer herders. Oops.
Robbie, we have some questions in the chat.
Okay.
So, Ken, do you know any countries that will not accept and send it back?
We occasionally have problems with some European countries, but it depends on it. Sometimes it goes through, sometimes it doesn't. Middle Eastern countries, they just have a problem. I don't know general. I don't know why it is, but so some Middle Eastern countries don't. Some Middle Eastern countries we can't ship to, by the way. Any countries that are on like the US naughty list, we can't ship to. So that's just the law. And
Have
but
you had any
pretty much everywhere else
problems
it
with
goes through.
France?
Oh, France will go through most of the
Okay.
time. We have problems with Italy. A lot of times it disappears. We'll ship it in, it gets in the Italian customs, and then it goes poof. It never gets sent back, never gets to the customer. So that's an Italian and occasionally Spanish problem. Just disappears.
And is C60 good for chronic constipation and arthritis?
Yes, it would definitely have a lot of, in animal studies, it was found to, not like in rabbits, they gave rabbits arthritis. It's an animal study, doesn't directly translate to humans, but not only did it get rid of the inflammation, because it stimulates stem cells, it actually regrew the cartilage in the rabbit's joints. So it's like a double whammy there. And so, yes, it definitely has that. And with constipation, if you take, because it's with an oil, and if you take a little extra oil, even on its own, that can often cure constipation. And of course, water is often a clear or pure water is another thing that if you drink a lot of people in America are actually in other places are chronically dehydrated. You just don't know it because as you get older, your receptors to tell you you need more water aren't working as good. So setting a regime where you basically drink so much water a day as a rule is a really good base to make sure you don't get chronically dehydrated. I'm not a medical doctor and can't get medical advice. I just do what myself. It's just myself and what I would do if something was going on.
Yeah, our recommendation for hydration is to keep your urine clear towards light yellow. So of course, multivitamins and things can change the color of your urine, but the best hydration expert actually recommends look at your urine color, take into account B vitamins and such. But yeah, that's basically the number one thing you want to look at is your urine color. And every time you see if it's like getting darker, drink more water. And if it's really clear, okay, you're doing good. So it's kind of like you can use that as your tester.
No more questions in the chat.
There's more questions, you said?
No more.
Okay, no additional question. Okay. So awesome. Yay, Randa, we can ship to, or Ken can ship to France. So that's awesome.
Yeah, just contact us through support@shopc60.com and we'll figure it away. Until we get that little glitch in the website, then it'll be back up once the software issue's fixed.
Perfect. So any other final questions that you awesome audience members have before we close out today's show? And VIPs, enjoy that free gift. That's really, thank you greatly, Ken, and thank you greatly, Jess. It says a lot about your belief and the effectiveness, the proven effectiveness of C60. So thank you for doing that for our VIPs. It's really special.
We're glad to get it out there as our product, and that comes a little packet. About once one of these, if you got gray hair, you need to. If you're heavy and you have gray hair, you need to. So, but yeah, we're glad to ship them out, and you'll be the first people to get our product, our gummy product.
That's awesome. And Romilly has another question, it looks like.
Can you hear me?
Yes, no, we can hear you. Yes.
I just wanted you to be aware that immortality has many problems connected with it. It
Yes.
should not be just taken lightly.
Well, that's the thing with the animal studies is that the rats lived a long and healthy lifespan. So they're fully active, fully cognitive till they ran out of their genetic expiration date. Because what is the use of living a long time if you're going to have a miserable time with it, right? That doesn't make sense. So you want to be healthy and happy and functional for if you want a really long life. The other alternative doesn't work.
Great.
Exactly. Thank you, Romilly.
Okay.
And I believe, well, actually, let's see. We want to make sure that we answer
have
everyone's.
one more question in the chat. Can I use the gummies if I have diabetes?
I checked with your doctor. We have, I think it's 3 grams of quote sugars with it. We've got a cane sugar and some, that's about it.
So one of the problems,
organic, by the way, that's it. Just a little bit of cane sugar, organic cane sugar to
when you have, with sugar, you have glycemic load. So there's how much sugar you're getting in, and then your glycemic index, and that's how fast the sugar gets in. So something like cane sugar will go into your system very fast, but it's a very small load, and you can actually affect the index. So how fast it's going in, you can affect by consuming other things with it. For example, if you were to eat something like chicken and broccoli, and you had something that had like fat in it as well, right? Like nuts, right? That's going to slow that sugar down significantly, because you have high protein, you have fiber from the broccoli plus, or other vegetables, plus you have a fat, right? So protein, fiber, fat. So if you combine those sugars with protein, fiber, fat, if you have diabetes, there's a lot going on there. You have insulin, you need to see what your blood glucose number is. You need to adjust with insulin. So there's a lot if you're actually insulin dependent and using insulin, that is. So, there's a lot of details that you're going to need to address medically from that standpoint. But in terms of the absorption of the sugar, 3 grams is very small, and some people can absolutely be reactive to that amount. But you can also affect how fast that goes in significantly. So, and let's see if we have any other questions. And you're so very welcome, Jim. You're welcome, Armand. Great show, great connection with you. Awesome Full Body Fix audience members, and especially, of course, our VIPs. Much love to you all. We will hang out here for just another minute, filling the space to see if we have any other final questions. And then we will wish you to make it an absolutely wonderful week.